Good evening. Today makes day 7 of me being a politician here in Oakland. Can you hear me okay now? Okay, I was saying that today makes day 7 of me being a politician here in Oakland. We gave a press conference right here a week ago Monday. I've been in Oakland now for most of the last 20 years. 20 years ago I moved here from what we then called West Germany, where I've been living, and came here to have a child who just introduced me. He's now going to be 20 years old. And I'll be pretty honest that I came here already fairly what we call progressive here in the United States. I had worked as a trade union organizer in Montreal, where I mostly grew up. And I worked in alternative energy development in Nicaragua. I worked in Nicaragua for a good part of 6-7 years. So I came to Oakland and got presented with a new set of challenges, and found that what I've seen here has kind of reinforced a lot of the things that I brought here, my beliefs and the values that I had come to believe in. I was 30 years old when I moved here. What surprised me, having grown up in Montreal, it was pretty hard to get used to a place that had 10 times the crime rate of what I was used to. 10 times, right? That takes a little bit of getting used to. Homeless people sitting out in the street, various other problems. You walk into a government office, it looks like it had been abandoned 20 years ago. And eventually, you know, you had that child, and I got involved in other things. Find out that, you know, the school system is not what it could be. I ended up volunteering at the schools to read to kids. I still volunteer at those schools to read to kids. But I thought I'd left that behind in Nicaragua. And so I moved here, and we got a lot of the problems of a third world country. There are other things that were just left me dumbfounded, from the fact that we don't have national health care to the fact that we don't use the metric system. I mean, are we just determined not to move forward, right? It's a strange place, and it took me a while to get my head around it. And being an international type person, I volunteered at Earth Island Institute. Eventually, I founded my own business, started being involved in small business affairs here in Oakland, small business symposium, Chamber of Commerce, stuff like that. And participating in our Neighborhood Watch, Neighborhood Crime Prevention Council, and continuing to volunteer at the schools. And a lot of times you just feel very frustrated. Wish you could do more. Sometimes it feels like you have to have a social movement to put in a park bench around here. And over the past 10 years, as I got more and more focused on the city and the city issues, and started looking at some of the back end of what was happening. You know, why do we have so much crime, right? Why are so many people in a revolving door going in and out of prison? And who are they? And why are they being treated this way? And you know what happens is you end up coming home and telling your friends and family about, this or that happened today. Just get upset about it, or you're enthused about it, or whatever, and they eventually tell you, God, you should just run for office and get it out of your system. And so that's always kind of been in the back of my mind. But also, as I've been working with the Small Business Symposium, and then with things that I do with the Chamber, who's not who we would think of as the most progressive organization in town, but that's, for a small business person, that's our association. I started looking at the mayor, I guess that's 2 mayors ago, and I started attending meetings that maybe wouldn't be the same meetings that we attend when we're in the Green Party. And a while ago now, I guess it's going on 6 years, a police chief of Oakland sat down in front of the Chamber of Commerce and told them that if they wanted to do something about crime, then they should be worried about the cutbacks and how they affect social issues. And he just went out there and named 4 social issues that were responsible, as far as he was concerned, with 90% of the problem. And they were recidivism, substance abuse, truancy, and homelessness. He just said, these are major social issues. The police will never arrest their way out of this problem. And, who could not agree? I mean, these are the same values we've all probably been, attached to for years. But when the chief of police comes and tells the Chamber of Commerce that they shouldn't be tough on crime, they should be thinking about social issues, Lord, somebody should listen. And they didn't. And that's what got me kind of starting to say, well, what do you mean? I mean, we have, what was the most recent thing I heard? They've got 1,300 parolees, 90% of whom are going to be back in jail. And they've got 5 ankle bracelets. 5 ankle bracelets is not reaching out. 5 ankle bracelets is not trying to figure out some way to get these guys back into the community. And then you start going through these things, or at least I started going through these things, and I said, God, I wish the mayor would do something about this. Why isn't the mayor worried about what's happening to, these kids who are not in school, right? That's a priority. The kids not being in school, half the kids are not in school half the time at the high school level. I hear an alarm ringing. They seem to think that everything's fine, and I hear an alarm ringing. And that's when I started to think, I wish the mayor would do this, and I wish the mayor would do that, and I wish my council member would do that, and then you combine that with the idea that my friends are telling me I always talk about politics, I should run for office, and, well, here I am. There's a lot of good people in this town. I'm in no way the big leader of the grassroots movements in this town. Everywhere through this town, there are all kinds of small organizations and large organizations making a difference. And frankly, sometimes I get a feeling that if it wasn't for them, things would be even worse than they are now. There are the neighborhood crime groups. There are people like Our Joy and people like the Ella Baker Center. We know some of them. You'd be surprised how many we don't know. What's your brother? You'd be surprised how many we don't know. You'd be surprised how many don't know each other. But I know which communities in Oakland are actually able to make a change. I can't make a change by myself. That's not going to happen. I'm not the only person that would make a good mayor. And I think out there in those community organizations, you're going to find a lot of people very dedicated to their community. And I look at those people and I don't just see a possible mayor, but I see council members, I see members of the school board. And part of this campaign is I'm going to be out there trying to encourage people from the community stand up and run for these offices, get involved. And I'm going to run with the idea that the community is the answer. We can look within ourselves as a group and say that right here in Oakland, we have people who are working very, very hard on the things that matter most. And those are the people who need to be brought to the foreground. They need to be included. We hear a lot, especially since a lot of times there are certain people that seem to think that politics is all about caving in. We hear a lot about big government, small government, pro-government, no government. I'm tired of that. What we need is good government. We need good government. We need ethical government. We need government that pays attention to the priorities and does it now. I've seen within the communities a lot of very practical solutions. They tend to be referred to as progressive or left-wing. Well, they also tend to be the ones that work. And when you see a police chief and you see a research group from the state of California and you see a grassroots organization all saying that there's one direction that works, then I look at the city government and say, why don't you take it? Why don't we go in that direction? Well, I'm running for mayor to go in those directions. Thank you very much.